Good morning, Farmville. It looks like a lovely day outside. I hope everybody listening is having a fantastic day and that they are safe and warm and happy. We have a guest today on the Call Flow Show, and I would have announced it earlier if I had remembered it was today and not next not next week. But I love having guests, so we are blessed to have Doug Stanley in the studio today. So Doug, what are you going to tell us?
First of all, good morning and happy St. Patty's Day.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I don't see any green going on there, dude.
I don't. We've got a special visitor coming to town. Senator Warner's coming, so we've got events going on, but I did not wear my green. But just wanted to talk about we had a Board of Supervisors meeting this past Tuesday, the 14th. A couple of items of interest. Probably the most significant, the Board of Supervisors approved a special use permit with conditions for a convenience store and fuel station for the proposed Wawa at the corner of Commerce Road and Farmville Road, Route 15.
That passed.
That passed.
Excellent.
So hopefully later this spring, early summer, you'll see some construction activity going on at that site. So people seem really excited about that.
They do. There was a. have you ever gone on to the What's Happening in Farmville? You know, there was a few threads on that one. Yeah, exactly.
The board also permanently adopted an ordinance. We talked about this last month. Some amendments to our transient occupancy tax ordinance to bring it in line with recommended changes from the General Assembly regarding platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo that allows the county to collect that tax. And we use that money to promote tourism and economic development here in Prince Edward. So
Excellent.
That's a good thing.
Is that something that you have now, or you're just going to implement?
It's in place. We just had to tweak the ordinance to make it a little bit easier. In this way, basically, like Airbnb will collect the tax when somebody books the room versus us having to deal with each individual property owner. So it makes it a little bit easier.
Cool.
We're excited about that. Board also approved changes to our floodplain ordinance. We've got some areas of the community, primary areas, the West 3rd Street is prone to flooding. FEMA has come in and adjusted our flood insurance rate maps or firm maps.
Okay.
And as part of that process, we had to update our ordinance. And the reason why, if we don't update the ordinance to keep it compliant with the federal regulations, we're not eligible to participate in a flood insurance program. So we want our folks to be able to do that. So the ordinance has restrictions for renovations and future development in the flood-prone areas. Primarily, one of the changes is now to build a new structure, you'd have to build the first floor 2 feet above the base flood elevation, so you would have to raise it up a little bit higher.
Was that a recommendation or a requirement from FEMA?
That was a recommendation.
Recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in both the town and county for that, part of that area is in the town, parts in the county.
Okay.
But the recommendation from both of us is put it at 2 feet above. I think one of the things you're seeing the old maps, you still see in areas flood. They build them right at that base flood elevation. So this will try to force them to be a little bit higher and hopefully have less damage.
Yeah, the intent is to help save people from
it
damage.
Is, and get them lower insurance costs.
Yeah, see?
So that's the flip side.
Yeah.
The board approved a solar siting agreement for a 5-megawatt solar energy facility located on 33 acres on Llama Road out in Pamplin. This is they call it a small community-scale solar. It's not one of the large farms.
I was going to say, it sounded kind of small.
It is, but we're now allowed to do these siting agreements so the county can get some upfront money. We'll get $50,000 up front, which we're going to use for updating the county comprehensive plan, and then we'll get $1,400 per megawatt per year moving forward. So we'll get $7,000 a year. It basically, by doing the siting agreements, we can set out a consistent stream of revenue coming off of these facilities rather than, say, machinery and tools tax, which has the tendency to decrease in value over time. So it's
amortized type of situation.
Right. So it'll provide a nice steady stream of revenue for the county ultimately moving forward.
So I have a few questions on the solar, because one, I love the solar. I've been in love with solar energy since I was a kid, but this new project that's fairly small, and you said it was kind of to serve a community. What's something that's really weird here is there's so many power companies. I haven't experienced that ever.
So this one will interconnect with Dominion.
Okay.
And basically what it allows, let's say I am a homeowner that actually, let's say I rent an apartment building somewhere, in Lynchburg or somewhere else, and I don't have the ability to put a solar panel on my yard or on my roof of my house because I don't own the house. This allows you to buy into a community solar project and be able to basically buy green energy. And
that's excellent.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique concept.
Is it like a choice on your bill that you want sustainable energy?
Yes,
rather than
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I use that all.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? I don't know, but
yeah, it's it's maybe a little more upfront cost, but over time you recoup that money through cheaper rates.
So I'm really unfamiliar with the big solar project that's out there. Who owns that? Where does that power go?
So we've only approved. We've had. This is now the second community scale that's been approved. There's actually one built in the eastern part near Rice. We've approved one project that's about 300 acres off Rice Creek Road and about 200 acres of panels. It has not been hasn't received final approval from FERC as far as the interconnection and all that with the state, but that one would tie into Southside Electric.
Okay.
So those larger facilities, and then you get down to Charlotte County's got one that's tens of thousands of acres, one of the largest in the state of Virginia.
10,000 acres of solar panels.
Yes.
So growing up, I've heard that a quarter of Arizona, if you put panels on that, would supply the world. It doesn't seem to quite translate the same, because 10,000 acres of solar panel, how many wattages is that?
It's that's about equivalent to a small power plant. So I think part of the push in this region is by 2025 there's a planned closure of the Clover coal-fired plant.
Awesome.
And so what they're trying to do, Dominion's trying to do, is offset that loss of power for the region. And then you also have a big thing called Microsoft down in Mecklenburg County that's looking to buy green energy.
Really?
So you're trying to offset the coal fire, but you're also trying to provide green energy for the Microsoft project. So that's going to gobble up a lot of the planned solar for the region. Prince Edward, and I just recently spoke on a panel. One of the things that makes Prince Edward attractive for solar companies, one, you've got 3 sets of north-south lines, one running kind of west on 47, one down 15, and one over towards 360.
Okay. Yeah.
So you've got access to the transmission lines. 2, a lot of this is timberland that's on the books for $1,500, $2,000 an acre, so it's relatively affordable, particularly where you go to Northern Virginia and you're paying 5 figures for property.
Yeah.
So those we're going to continue to see that pressure. Lunenburg's just recently approved a large several thousand acre site.
That's awesome.
There's sites in Buckingham and again, as I mentioned, Charlotte. So I think for the next few years, you're going to continue to see interest shown by these companies to create facilities. So
that does my heart good.
It's good, and if done correctly,
Yeah.
it can be a decent revenue stream for a locality. Certainly more than. I did an example: a piece of timberland that's basically generating $7 an acre. Here in this case, $1,400 a megawatt, about 8 to 10 acres to create a megawatt. To give you an idea.
Okay.
So
that's good.
It can be a significantly larger revenue producer for a county like Prince Edward that struggles to bring in economic development and tax base.
That's excellent. That is excellent. Sorry, I'll let you get through that because I'm so interested in this.
We'll come back and talk.
Not everybody's probably as interested in solar as I am, but this is Call Flow. The lines are open. The number is 434-394-0924. If you have a question for Doug, we'll try not to interrupt him too many times.
The board also adopted a resolution recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. We had a request last month about making that proclamation from one of our Longwood professors and class members that are in social work, and we adopted that. And the board approved a request from the town of Pamplin City to contribute $25,000 and a dollar for dollar match to match funding from the County of Appomattox to build a new parking lot in Pamplin that will be part of the kind of the western terminus of High Bridge Trail. So there's a project to extend High Bridge about a mile into the town of Pamplin, and we're going to partner up and help build a parking lot there for folks. So folks coming in from the western, say from Lynchburg direction, can stop at that western terminus and get on the trail. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That seems to be a pretty good draw for this area.
The animal control, we recently just announced that our Chief Deputy Animal Control Officer Chris Revere has tendered his resignation. He's going to be taking a position with Powhatan County Sheriff's Office. We wish Chris the best. He's been with us for a few years and has done a great job. After an internal solicitation, we've interviewed and offered, and he's accepted. That's Adam Mumma. Adam has been working the last year for the Buildings and Grounds Department. Previously, he was our Chief Animal Control Officer. He went to work for the Richmond Animal League. I think probably Adam figured out after a while, this commute's a little crazy. So he came back to work with us. He's a very talented individual, but we're very excited to have him back working animal control. And on April 1, April Fool's Day, he'll take over as our Chief Deputy Animal Control Officer. Last night, we had a meeting out at the Prince Edward County Elementary School hosted by Prince Edward County Public School System. It was a meeting with the architect to talk about potential renovation for the elementary school, to get feedback from parents and community members on the project. I think on Monday they had a meeting with the PTO, so we're really excited. That's a major, watershed project for this community, trying to get that building, all the roof leaks, all those issues addressed, but also really hopefully come up with some better educational space for the kids and teachers.
Nice. So in the process, you're making a little maybe feng shui for learning.
Yeah, lots changed in 50 years as far as education. So, and some of it is just, addressing some of the things I heard last night where, the boys and girls bathrooms that are kind of one unit, one holers off of the cafeteria, just trying to have some more capacity and just address some of the issues with the facility.
Is there like a project coordinator for that? I can't imagine how many people you have to sort of coordinate on something like that.
Well, the architects will handle most of that.
Okay.
I know, Dr. Johnson's receiving. Anybody has any comments, questions, concerns can email the superintendent, and she's assembling that feedback, and we'll submit it to the architect.
Does that include color preferences for different rooms?
I think everything. Yeah, probably a little bit of everything. Two of the things we were talking about, kind of natural light. Today in building school buildings, a lot more natural light, and then two, brighter, and of course, LED is the thing now because it's a lot cheaper, and hopefully we can improve the aesthetics of the and functionality of the building.
That sounds great.
We also received what's called a certificate of no objection from the Office of the Attorney General.
Sounds a little ominous to me.
Well, in this case, no. But we've moved our polling precinct for District 7, which is in town, from the Farmville Fire Department building to the train station. And part of that was
this train station right over here?
Yeah, right down the street. Part of it was necessitated by the fire department taking on more paid staff and needed to utilize the space.
Okay.
So it wasn't as convenient to be able for us to go in a couple times a year to take over the building. So we appreciate Dr. Davis and town council working with us to make the train station available.
Is there anything else in that train station? Are they doing business or anything there?
So you can rent the train station out for events. And funny part, my wife had to remind me after we had been here for a few months, but I've been to a wedding reception there probably 25 years ago. And I'd forgotten.
Cool, that's great. We had a little radio or a little train station like that, depot, in where I grew up in Prescott. And we talked about it for years. We should buy that and turn it into commercial space. We didn't. Somebody else did. They're doing well. We aren't.
Well, you go to Pamplin, and the train station is the town offices. So,
oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I love the fact that High Bridge Trail State Park is currently building a new visitor center, and it's kind of modeled after that train station look. So it's how
fun!
It's a unique piece of vernacular architecture, and I'm excited that it's going to continue and be utilized for that facility.
Very cool.
the Commonwealth Regional Council, which is the regional planning commission here in Farmville, submitted a federal RAISE grant application for Prince Edward County. That's a federal grant for $500,000 in funding for a planning grant for us to take another look at the 3rd Street intersection. That's 3rd Street East at 460. Right now, there are only 2 legs of that intersection. So if you're heading back out, you can go towards Richmond. You can't go make a right towards Lynchburg. They give them a bypass, right. And so it's and you're also coming back westbound. You can't turn left back into town. So that project's bounced around. We've tried to get funding for it, but all the data on that project is out of date, and we need to go through the exercise and re-looking at it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crash history that, when trucks are doing U-turns in the middle of 460, trying to turn back to town, it causes issues.
Right. There's your problem.
And it also redirects a lot of truck traffic back towards town. And, of course, the 3rd and main intersection isn't really built for truck traffic and truck turning, so hopefully we can address some of that. Yes. We've got a big project going on out at the Prince Edward County Industrial Park, and I gave a report to the board, and that project is under construction. Contractors anticipating being substantially complete with the project by early August. That'll open up to about another 100 acres for development at the industrial park, so we're excited about getting that project moving.
Where's that industrial park? Sorry.
Right across from go out south on 15, and take a right on Commerce. It's out by the YMCA and the VDOT office. So
okay.
If you're at the YMCA and looking back out towards the street, it's straight across the road.
I didn't. Yeah, we were happy to find that YMCA. By the way, it's awesome.
It's a great
it
asset.
is. It's very clean. It's very. There's a lot to do. So check it out.
We also got notice recently of another small-scale solar project. It's on an 85-acre site out in Elam. The site would include about 33 acres of panels. They previously held a community meeting at the Prospect Volunteer Fire Department. We anticipate that project going to our planning commission this month. That'll be, I think, number 3 of the community scale project. So again, I think we'll continue to see some of these projects.
It sounds like there's a lot of momentum going in that direction, and it doesn't sound like there's a lot of I don't know, kickback or on Fridays. I have brain damage.
I think part of it is our ordinance addresses a lot of what I would call neighbor concerns as far as buffering and screening of the sites, but also requires them to have a plan to dismantle the facility at some point down the road, or put a bond in place to be able to make sure, in 30 years, if that solar farm is no longer needed, that it can be dismantled and taken.
That's great. That is fantastic.
The last big thing before we talk budget is Rice Convenience Site. So a few years when I came, I kind of did a little listening tour and talked to folks in the community. And I got more complaints on the condition of our convenience sites. These are the trash sites around the county.
Oh, right.
We've got about 7 sites. And the busiest one is out in Rice off Aspen Hill, right there at 460. And so we've been working with an engineer over the last year and a half. We've come up with a plan to basically redesign and renovate that site. We put it out to bid. The board accepted bid a couple months ago. And this week, yesterday and today, we're in the process of relocating that site temporarily just up to, there's a Leaves Retreat Wayside right there on 460. Monday morning, the contractor is going to move in and start the demolition of the existing site and building a new site. And some of the features, we'll have better screening, new LED lighting, which will be, kind of brighter but more energy efficient. It'll be a paved site versus a dirt site.
Okay.
So a lot of the complaints I used to get about potholes and mud and all that stuff, people tearing their car up going in and out of the site, can get rid of that.
Okay. We'll
also plan for eventually 2 compactors so that when the container is being switched out, we can still take trash. It will have holding tanks. So when people don't really think about this, but when you have a compactor and people throw the trash in it, and you compact it, you squeeze the juice out of the trash, right? Well, all the old compactors, the juice just runs on the ground.
Wow.
And that one particularly, since it's right there next to Sandy River, it'll have holding tanks. So all that stuff will drip down into a concrete pad into a holding tank that we can pump out and take to the town to get
That's
treated.
awesome.
So
Now, is that new kind of ordinance and
it's
regulations
not,
to do that?
It's
Really?
not.
Huh.
I'll say previous experience of working in other counties, and that's something that we had to transition to, because what you find is, just a couple of quarts of oil to get squeezed out can be a mess.
You're right.
And you've got to go back in and remediate that. So this is the new, clean, environmental friendly way. Moving forward, this is the way ultimately all of our sites need to be. But
that's great. That's
so
great.
We're excited about getting this site completed. Appreciate the board making the investment, and hopefully, say by July 1, we'll have a new site up and running and open to the public that everyone can use.
It sounds like a pretty big site. I mean, the one I have just has, half a dozen dumpsters that you throw your stuff in. And
so we'll have the recycling bins, but we'll also have the compactors. And we've got of course, we'll have the hut for the attendant that works there.
Oh, so you're going to you got people on site. Fantastic. All right.
So the other big thing is just it's budget season for all local governments, It's kind of the we're mandated by the Code of Virginia by May 1 to provide a adopted budget to our school board.
Okay.
And the reason for that is so they can in turn tender contracts to teachers and sign the contracts and all that stuff and move forward. The hiccup that has usually and lately been happening is the fact that the General Assembly has been unable to come to agreement on a state budget. Well, state budget funding is a big portion of ours. So last year, we were waiting and limping around until basically June to get a budget adopted. This year, I think we've and the boards agree, we're going to move ahead with what we anticipate to be the budget. If we need to come back and tweak it, we'll come back.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it gets too complicated not being able to get it done.
That's just what I was thinking. I was thinking of how difficult it must be to keep all these things going, juggling in the air or whatever it is. But yeah, that's quite the challenge.
It is. And this year, we had a budget planning session with the board, and we talked about setting our budget goals, and they include maintaining or improving current levels of service. Those are things like the number of locations, the convenience sites, the hours that we operate, those types of things. Staying competitive with staff salaries, that's something that the board has been very good the last couple of years of trying to increase salaries to keep pace with everybody else, but make sure we're paying a good living wage. And one of the things I'm excited about, where some of our convenience site workers, we're trying to bump them up $1 an hour and try to keep ahead of the increase in the minimum wage. Yeah. Also, continuing financial planning for some of the big capital improvement projects. I mentioned the elementary school renovation project. We also have the Sandy River water system. We're talking about eventually replacing our animal control shelter and some public radio system improvements. Promoting economic development, reinvesting in the community, things like that industrial access road. And also, it's important to continue to maintain a low tax rate. Prince Edward is 47 cents and one of the 10 lowest in the state of Virginia out of 95 counties. So, we're trying to. It's a tight balance sometimes. To try to do that.
Yes.
And some of the things I'd say impacting that ability, we've got relatively flat revenue. We're really not seeing any revenue growth next year over the current year. We do have a few personnel priorities. We've tried to hire a new full-time IT director for the county. We've been outsourcing that. We've got the state working with the school system. They had that issue with the grocery tax and loss of revenue. We're hoping to work with them to make that up.
Right. Is most of your income is from taxes, I assume? Or?
Yeah, it is. So you've got, you have state aid, but, the big ones here locally are certainly things like real estate, personal property, and sales taxes are typically your three bigger taxes. And sales tax, goes with the economy and has been good.
Right.
Personal property rates jumped up last year. We gave a little bit more back in relief to our taxpayers. And
that's good.
We're already seeing values drop probably at least 20% on average for next year. So it's what went up is coming back down quickly.
As the song states.
That's right. And public safety pressures. Our volunteer fire departments are feeling the pinch on increased insurance costs. The sheriff's office has got additional needs, including vehicles. And again, I mentioned our communication system. We need to upgrade our radio system, which is antiquated, especially if I'm out in the county. You have the in-car radio,
okay,
but you also have the portable that's on your hip.
Gotcha.
And when you get out of the vehicle and you're in a building, per se, fighting a fire, you want to make sure you can talk to the people you need to talk to. So
yes.
Ultimately, it's important for us to look at upgrades, including adding additional antenna sites around the county to improve that coverage, but also we're trying to work with the town of Farmville, the Hampton City and Longwood departments, and the volunteer fire departments to ensure interconnectivity so that we can all talk to each other. And I think it's a great goal, but we've at least had a couple meetings where everybody is in the room and having that conversation.
What, you want everybody to communicate and connect with each other on a regular basis?
So if we stay on schedule, we would end up having a public hearing on April 18th for the budget. So now, the hope is to stay on schedule. Again, we're trying to kind of dance around what's going on in Richmond. I think the hope is by that point in time, there will be a state budget.
Okay.
So knock on wood, we're keeping our fingers crossed that that'll happen. But in the meantime, we're going to continue on with trying to finalize the draft budget and get that advertised for the public hearing.
How big is your group? I mean, how many people does it take to pass the budget? Or, I assume if you're going to hold hearings or whatever about it, public can come in and say, no, we don't want to pay for
absolutely
blue paint in the boys' toilet.
Yeah. So, really, for the county, it's about 3 or 4 people that are working on the document itself. Okay. Obviously, you've got our 8 members of the Board of Supervisors that are providing guidance to us. And through that process, we've already had about 3 meetings to talk about budget and priorities and goals and all those types of things. And
how exciting.
And I just had presented some preliminary numbers. And, we've got some trimming to go. We're still... based on the current budget, the wants exceed the availability to fund them by a couple $1 million, but that's kind of normal.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of folks are trying to identify what the needs are, and certainly from the school standpoint, with the House budget, we'd need to come up with about $550,000 in additional local dollars. So we're trying to see what's going to take to plug all those holes.
Yeah, I was wondering what, if you can get a little from the lottery maybe. Or I know that's all state.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Maybe we start a new lottery just for these counties. I'm probably going to get myself in trouble if I keep talking. But it is Friday morning, and you are listening to WFLO. If you'd like to call in and talk to Doug, the number is 434-394-0924. That is 434-394-0924. You can have just a few moments to get connected and ask Doug any questions that you would like. And so, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Not at this point in time. Again, we look forward to coming and talk. I look forward to coming and talking to you each month. Our board meetings every Tuesday, and I think we got on schedule for the Friday after that. And
right.
It's good because I can report on what just happened. Sometimes it makes the paper by now, and sometimes not. I did see the Wawa was on the front page of the Herald, which is great. We're hopeful in the next month or two to have some additional announcements. We're talking to folks in economic development. Chelsea White, we're working hard on trying to promote Prince Edward and Farmville as a place to do business. And
that's great.
So, we'll keep plugging along and hopefully have some additional announcements down the road.
Yeah, at some time I want to hear more about this Microsoft deal. Are they looking at doing a
Larry, you may not be aware, we actually have a data center site here.
You do?
The county owns,
great.
280 acre site on the kind of east end of town
for a data center. Wow.
Yeah,
buried deep in the ground.
Well, it's a site right off Persimmon Tree Road. That, just real quick, a couple primary components that are very important for development of a data center. Number one, access to power.
Yes.
So our site has a 230 kV and 115 kV line that meet or intersect on that property.
Oh, that works out well.
It has good access to 460. There's also high-speed fiber running for Mid-Atlantic Fiber they've got a main fiber line going through here, so you have access to high-speed fiber.
Nice.
The other thing is water for cooling, because data center sites need a lot of electricity to run all these pieces of equipment, all the processors, and it generates a lot of heat. So you have to, in turn, have a tremendous amount of cooling to keep the temperature down.
I heard they were dropping like containers into the ocean because it was a lot cheaper than cooling it.
So they do have dry cooling technology, but a lot of it's still used what they call wet technology, which is you need water to help do that cooling. So we've got some capacity at the town of Farmville, but then we're in turn looking at developing the Sandy River Reservoir, which would have an 8 million gallon capacity. So Prince Edward has power, we have water, and we have access to fiber. So.
And not a lot of places do. I mean, that's great. I mean, and it's inclement weather. I mean, the weather here is okay.
Well, I'll give you...
But you don't really need good weather for data, right?
Basically, half of the world's internet sitting in Northern Virginia, most in Loudon, Prince William.
Right.
And, I went up this past year to a data center conference. They were talking about, property up there going for $1 million an acre.
Right.
And two, sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get necessary power because they had to build power lines to that site to serve it. So, hopefully down the road, we'll have even more attractive site and generate that interest. Microsoft has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Mecklenburg County. It's generated. If you've been down, they're building a new high school, new middle school, and it's being funded by the revenue off of the projects down there. So,
I always thought that this area could support a big business here. I mean, it's got everything you need, and it's centralized. There's just so much about that.
That's the vision of the Board of Supervisors. Before I got here in 2020, they invested $1.5 million in that site. We have since gotten about putting $1.5 million in incentive grants to help do the preliminary engineering to get that site advanced. So we're working hard, and that's one of the initiatives that we've are really looking to long term.
Cool.
So we're excited, hopefully, to be able to market and ultimately bring somebody like a Microsoft to our community.
Absolutely. How far away is this the data center that you're talking about?
It's probably 50, 60 miles, I think, down in
pretty close.
Boynton. And
I'm just trying to figure out if it's helping my property price or not.
Not yet. Probably not yet.
Although our property went up like $50,000 in no year, so I'm like happy about that.
Well, I think what's going to help here locally, one of the big issues that we've been facing is access to adequate internet, right? So we have lots of areas that you've only got, say, the existing CenturyLink service and maybe 10 megabytes, and it's really relatively slow. And then,
I tried that once.
So, Chantel's in town. I'm fortunate enough that I get Chantel, and I get 50, 75, 100 Mbps. We're working with Connex on a project to serve the southern half of Cumberland, the underserved areas of Prince Edward and part of Lunenburg. They got $10 million in federal funding, $15 million in state. It's called VADI funding, and the counties have put up about $3 million, and Prince Edward's putting up $2 million of that using the ARPA funds
for the fiber
project.
Excellent.
And right now, so Connex has about maybe 8 crews out there installing conduit and fiber, and it's about a 4-year install timeline, but they're out making progress and already starting to sign people up. So
I had signed with, I forgot, what was the first one you talked about?
CenturyLink.
CenturyLink, that's what it was. I'd signed up for them. They came out, they dug a trench and put the line in, and then the guy came out to do the install of the thing, and he's like, "Why aren't you using the fiber network right over there?" I was like, "Oh yeah, see you later." It was like I was dying for that. Good morning. This is WFLO. You are on the air. Hey, how you doing, man? Uh-huh. spill. Right. I don't know about that.
So, we have an emergency management team here at the county, but we have a very close relationship working with the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. They actually have a spill response team that will get called out. And this past year, I was out, Hampton-Sydney had a contractor working, and we had a chemical spill. And I can tell you within 15 minutes, we had folks on site, but the state within the hour had a spill response team on site. So there are, I'd say, regional assets that can be deployed to any of the counties, including Prince Edward in this area, to address things like that. Certainly what happened in Ohio, massive and, far beyond any small regional team, but that's where you reach out to your state resources. Mm-hmm. But good question, and those are things we always we all fear and have keeps us up at night. But we do drills. In my last community, we had a couple of the main 80% of all the rail freight on the East Coast ran through my former community, and about every couple of years we would have drills on disaster, including things like chlorine gas leaks, and who do you evacuate, and where's the wind blowing, all those types of things. But the state has people that are very responsive to that stuff, and we have access to them, if that makes sense.
Excellent. Okay.
So the county has this great ability in our sheriff's office. We have as part of a CAD system, they can go in on a map and draw an area and say, send a message to every phone in that area. Now, of course, those are landlines, but we also have the ability, our emergency response, you can sign up your cell phone to get any of the emergency responses, so that, and I certainly would encourage you to do that.
Is there some way you can do the filter so that you don't get everything? Because I signed up for that. I got a whole lot of stuff that I really didn't want, and so I would like to just get the things that I think are important.
Yeah.
No.
I think there are, like, we have stuff that we can send out to employees and we can send out to citizens. We really
Gotcha.
I'd say it's the little boy who cried wolf. Try not to send everything out if we don't have to.
Yep.
Just because people get too used to the call. We want when you get a message, yes, we want you to take it seriously. But so the answer is yes. If we have, let's say, an issue in the Rice area with something, that we can get word out to the folks in that community very quickly.
And the EAS, the emergency broadcast system, would also kick in, and it would do an automatic broadcast through our station for that. So we're good. So as long as you keep on listening, you're going to be safe. How's that sound? Give me your number. I'll let you know. We're full service here at WFLO. I've got to do a little business. I really appreciate you calling again, and I hope you have a great weekend. All right. You bet. Bye. So that's probably going to wrap us up so I can take care of business. And I greatly appreciate you being here, and I look forward to it next Friday or
a month.
A month from now, Friday. Okay, well, good. I'm
Again, happy St. Patty's Day. Go out maybe this evening, have a green beer somewhere.
Yes. Thanks, dude.
Take care.
Bye-bye. So now we are kind of a little overdue for our weather and for our birthdays. So let's start with the birthdays. Well, let's start with the weather. This edition of the weather is brought to you by Bank of Charlotte County. All righty. Weather. It is 50 degrees outside. Called fair. Humidity is 47%. Southwest winds at 8 miles an hour. The barometer is 29.83, a little low today. And we'll see how it goes, up or down. Today we'll have a chance of showers, about a 50% chance of showers later on. But the high is supposed to be 67 today. It was kind of nice getting out of here this morning. Did you have nice weather on your drive in, Johnny?
No Larry A. No, it was all right.
Here's Johnny. Okay, I'm doing the weather. Sorry about that. Tonight
Good.
there are going to be showers, and it will be a low of 40. On Saturday, it's going to be a chance of showers and then sunny. It looks like 30% chance in the morning, sunny in the afternoon with a high of 57. Saturday night, low, cold, and clear. But it's going to break away into Sunday's bright sunny day with a high of 47, a little chilly. And then overnight it's going to get down to 22. It looks like going into the week next week we're in the mid-50s for highs and 20s, mid-20s for the lows. So I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And the Bank of Charlotte County, with branch locations in Phoenix, Charlotte Courthouse, Brunel, and their loan offices in Farmville. Thank you very much. And it sounds like it's time for the birthdays. Mr. John, do you have any?
Didn't get a chance to jot them down like I like to do,
I
but
know.
So we're going to be going a lot back and forth here. Anyway, here's what we got. For today, the 17th, correct?
Yes.
Happy birthday going out to Annie Mae Miles of Cumberland, 87 years young today.
Happy birthday.
Also today, Penny Agee having a birthday as well.
I always like the name Penny. I don't know why, but maybe it's Money Penny. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay, Money Penny. Let's see what else we got here.
Money Penny.
Celebrating the St. Patrick's Day. All right, looks like Wyndham Simmons, K. Bond. I'm doing my best here. This is very small, fine print we've got on this.
Yes, it is.
Daniel Scott Knight. Those are for the 17th. Now let me go back and rifle through the notes and get the 18th. Early birthdays, Earl Swink of Farmville on the 18th, as well as Seth Raybon and Earl Swink. I guess that's the same name. Yeah, some of these are doubled up. Let's see. Also, 18th, Thelma Farah, Lynchburg. And let's see, on the calendar on the 18th, we've got Brent Taylor, Kevin Arnold, David Skinner, Kim, I want to say Ganzen. It's unfortunately the print's right over top of these numbers, and it's a little tough to decipher.
Right.
Kim Reed, Heather Campbell, and those are the 18th, so I guess we have to do the 19th now. So
yes.
Rifle through these.
Weekend.
That's why I tried to write them down, but I was busy doing something else.
You were.
Elsie Angus on the 19th. What else do we have here? Larry Boyles of Dillwyn on the 19th. And let's see, we're good on that one. And then on the calendar here, C. Hunter Shorter, Aaron Reeves, and Wesley Keir is what it looks like.
Right on.
So that should cover it.
Are you sure? That's
If today is your day, birthday, anniversary-wise, and we didn't say it right or you didn't make our list, happy birthday, happy anniversary.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can send your birthday requests to birthdays at WFLO.net. I have one more, though. My son turns 19 on the 19th, so on Sunday.
All
I miss him. I miss my boy so much. We have so much fun together. Yeah, you have kids?
No.
Huh.
No.
Sorry to hear that. They're fun.
I have a nephew I live vicariously.
Oh, well,
through.
that's a good way to go.
Yeah.
you aren't.
Though
you
he,
aren't
he says we're more like brothers.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
At least you're not financially responsible for
No, I just got to buy a Happy Meal every Friday. It seems like
cheap price.
Yeah.
Cheap price for a friendship. Yes, sir. Hey, I'll be your friend for
I'll get you that Happy Meal, Larry.
that one you always wanted. Well, the birthday calendar is brought to you by Terry Atkins Wilson's PC. Thank you for sponsoring this birthday. And for the right legal advice, visit Terry Atkins Wilson, PC, Main Street in Farmville. So, my friend,
Yes.
I use the term loosely, of course.
I've heard you,
You should see the
say I
look
get
on
on
his
your nerves
face, like,
sometimes.
what?
I've heard you say that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I heard you
Where?
say on the air.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Can't deny that
You
one.
think I'm
can
not listening.
Darn it. Yeah, you weren't. I swear. We do have some celebrity birthdays, or we have National Day, or we have some news. What would you like to go
Whatever
through?
suits your fancy, Larry.
Rob Lowe is 59 today. I'm just going to read the names that I recognize. So out of 100
That
names,
should make
I
the list nice and short.
it will, absolutely. Well, I don't know. So some of them I kind of have questions for, because
Okay.
you might know.
Oh, go ahead.
Drummer Carolyn Core of the Corrs. Have you ever heard of her?
I've heard of the Corrs, and they're
You have.
mostly brothers and sisters, if
Okay.
I recall.
Kind of like White Stripe, that brother and sister
But it's
team?
more than just two.
Oh, well, that's, you know.
Isn't White Stripe just two?
It is. Yeah, brother or sister. Yeah, she plays the drums.
This would
he
be like
plays
a couple of sisters and a brother, I believe.
Nice. Yeah. I kind of wish my family had gotten a band together. We got a lot of talent in there. We just,
Right.
can't get along long enough to
Well,
practice.
that's a band, right?
Perform. Yeah, that's right. Let's see. What do we got? Boston rapper Swifty of D12. Do you know him?
Nah, unfortunately, no.
Tracy Wolfson. Any recognize? Tracy is supposed to be the NFL on CBS reporter.
She must be
Yeah.
maybe the sideline reporter or something like that.
Probably. I don't even get me started with that one. I never.
What's that, sideline reporting?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, never mind. I'm biting my tongue. My tongue hurts. Bassist Geoff Sprung of Old Dominion.
No.
Really?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Can't really claim any of that. All right. I recognize two people on this whole list, and it's holy moly. Where are we come to now? Guess what? History Day is today.
No clue.
How about St. Patrick's Day?
Well, I mean, other than that.
It was a loaded question.
Yeah.
I knew that. Did you ever drink green beer?
Heard about it, but no.
I don't remember, probably because I drank too much of it, but that's a whole nother.
Well, it's just regular
Topic.
beer with coloring, right?
I remember one St. Patrick's Day. I had a little Triumph GT6 Plus. Awesome little car. Falling apart. Almost impossible to keep running. Had dual carbs, and I just couldn't get them, right. But me and my girlfriend were driving down to, where was it? Cottonwood. And because it's supposed to be a really big place in Arizona to have St. Patrick's Day, because they have a parade.
Right.
So we drive down there, and I'm like, oh, man, the traffic's starting to get really bad here. Well, we ended up actually in the parade. So
Only
they thought, oh, that's a cool car. Let's. It was strange, though. People would just hand us, like, old beer and, like warm
Old beer.
warm beer and
Previously drank beer.
maybe. It is actually also National Corned Beef and Cabbage Day, and I'm suspecting they just did that.
But
to
isn't
kinda-
that like one of those things where that's not really where that comes from, and it was sort of incorporated?
Yeah, don't you think?
Yeah,
they were
I think-
they're riding the coattail of St. Patty's Day, man. Because corned beef just doesn't have much credibility except for on St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
My sister, my older sister, she lives down in Wilmington, North Carolina, and she always has a huge St. Patrick's Day party every year. I never get invited to it, but it's she married a Shanahan, and he takes his Shanahan-ness very seriously.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Not Mike Shanahan, is it?
No.
Okay.
Who is Mike Shanahan?
He used to be a coach in the NFL. He used to coach Denver, if I recall.
Cool.
Back when Elway won his 2 Super Bowls.
All right. I don't even know what time it is.
It is time to get out of here.
So we got like 3 minutes left, I think it is. So,
That sounds about right.
Well, how do we want to spend this? Maybe somebody could call it. No, because that would probably take.
Did you have
too
any
long.
calls
We
today?
did. We had a couple of great calls today. Actually,
Okay.
good questions.
I thought maybe I heard you talk about the Wawa.
Yes. Well, that was Doug. So
That guy that came by.
the whole schedule
After
thing
all,
that
right?
yeah,
the one I was right about all along.
You were so right. And, when I saw him show up, I'm like, oh, okay, it was about today, So, anyway, it all went well. It was all good. You got some time to do what you wanted to do.
People were spared me being on, but for so long. And
people learn things. I didn't realize there's so much solar in Virginia. I find that awesome, truly. I think a lot of it has to do with the price of land here and still be able to support that. But you know what? I drove across the country. I saw plenty of land with nothing and nobody on it. But I guess you have to be kind of closer to the center of things.
yeah.
Well, Virginia's interesting like that. Since it is right next to Washington, D.C., it has some credibility there. People come here to live near there.
The northern part of the state's very heavily populated
Should it-
because of that.
Should it be cut in half? We have
I-
Northern Virginia.
Yeah,
and
but
Southern-
I'm a big proponent of that.
Really?
North and South Virginia.
Really?
Yeah, why not? We got a West.
Yeah.
We might as well.
So then
We'd be
could
the
we
only state that has North, South, and West.
Can we do an East then? I mean, that's
We'd
the obvious
beat out
question.
Carolina and Dakota. And
We'd make a reputation for ourselves.
There you go.
Not a good one, but a reputation all the same. No, the first time I went by that solar array out there, I was like, holy smoke, this is awesome. This is great. I would like to put a solar array on my property. So if anybody out there would like,
disgrace nature by putting those.
well, Chris
Monstrosity.
Chris Woods won't let me put bamboo out there, so I'm going to have to do something. I guess she's afraid it's just going to take over everything.
It could.
And she's right. So.
It might do that.
But on that note, do want to remind people to please send Francis cards, letters, whatever. He's been diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, and so he's really appreciating those cards and support. So that is us. We are done.
All right.
Call flow is out. John Staton is coming your way. The master DJ. I hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye.